Welcome to this evening's July 27th, 2015 Muskogee City Council. The invocation tonight will be by Councilman Marlon Coleman, and then join us for the flag salute.
Let us pray. God, we thank you so kindly for tonight. We pray your blessing of wisdom and direction by the power of the Holy Spirit to give us, oh God, direction that we need to make proper decisions for the benefit of this city. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Join us for the flag salute. Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Bob Coburn.
Here.
Deputy Mayor James Scully.
Here.
Dan Hall. Marlon Coleman.
Here.
Janie Boydston. Wayne Johnson.
Here.
Leanne Langston.
Here.
Ivory Van.
Here.
Derek Reed.
Here.
We are accounted for, all but Mr. Hall.
You want a motion to excuse?
Do we need a motion to excuse for a period?
Yeah, just in case.
So
Okay.
moved.
Second.
A motion and a second to excuse Councilman Hall. Any discussion? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Scully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Leanne Langston.
I'm thinking.
Okay.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes, but did it pass?
It did.
Oh,
Can I
just
change
check.
my vote? Apparently.
You can. He anticipates being here in just a few minutes, just FYI. Let me, I think it's time to do this. National Night Out. Let me just actually read this, and then I'm going to ask if Deputy Chief Cotton or if Lindsay has any comments to add in if I missed something along the way. National Night Out, Tuesday, August the 4th, 2015, will be at Rotary Park, Spalding Park, Elliott Park, Robinson Park, and the Civic Center front lawn. Once upon a time, we kept our porch lights on. We opened the door even if we did not know who rang the bell. And we could always leave the back door unlocked during the day. National Night Out is an annual community building campaign that promotes police, community partnership, and neighborhood camaraderie to make our neighborhoods safer, better places to live. Together, we are making that happen. National Night Out enhances the relationship between neighbors and law enforcement while bringing back a true sense of community and provides a great opportunity to bring police and neighbors together under positive circumstances. Muskogee NNO events will be at the four parks again, Rotary, Spalding, Elliott, and Robinson, and then on the front lawn of the Civic Center. Each location will have its own venue and events, promoting safety at each location with entertainment and music for everyone. It will be an inclusive event citywide. This will be the largest national night out event Muskogee has ever seen, and it will is a result of the cooperation of the AIM Safe and Secure Committee, Muskogee Police Department, Christian Ministers Union, Muskogee Creek Nation, and the Muskogee Health Department. And we have a handout brochure, and I think Lindsay has those as well for everybody if anyone wants one. But that's the event that we're talking about. And August the 4th, and it's going to be about 85 degrees at 8 o'clock that morning. And then that afternoon, it'll be 105. But we'll just have a good time anyway. So, any comments? None. Dang. I followed instructions well then, I guess, on that one. Okay. Let's consider the minutes from the July the 13th meeting. Is there any additions or corrections to those? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
Second.
Sound like Dan Hall. We've got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Scully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Leanne Langston.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes, motion carries. The consent agenda we'll now consider, which is items 1 through 11. Is there anything that anyone would like to move to the regular agenda? If not, we'll entertain a motion on the consent agenda.
Move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Scully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Leanne Langston.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes, motion carries. Regular agenda item number 12.
Hold a public hearing on the request from Caw Valley Engineering to consider approval of an ordinance closing the 16-foot utility easement lying in the vacated alley within Block 5 and 12 of Pickens Edition, more particularly described in the ordinance, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Garvin.
Mayor, members of the council, the applicant, Caw Valley Engineering, is requesting approval to close a 16-foot wide utility easement. The easement is located in blocks 5 and 12 of Pickens Edition. The reason for the closure is to allow a grocery store to be located on the property. This is the proposed location of the Aldi grocery store. At the subdivision meeting, AT&T stated they had an existing line within the easement. However, that line was being abandoned. No other utilities are located within the easement. This item's been recommended for approval by Subdivision Review Committee, Planning Commission, and Public Works Committee. Be glad to answer any questions.
Okay. Anybody in the audience here to speak to this item? No one signed up to speak to it. If not, we will close the public hearing. Anybody council-wise have any questions or comments?
Move for approval.
Second.
And a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Scully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Leanne Langston.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes, motion carries. Item number 13, please.
Consider approval of an ordinance amending the defined contribution plan for the Oklahoma Municipal Retirement Fund with an effective date of October 1st, 2015, or take other necessary action.
Ms. Kelly Epperson, and then Kelly, stay up here for 14 too. You get 2 items today.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I am here tonight to present to you the amended ordinance for the Municipal Employees Retirement Plan. This is for the daily valuation, which I came to before you maybe 2 months ago or so in regards to that. The 2/3 of the majority city passed this ordinance, so I'm here tonight to ask for your approval. This gives us availability for a retirement advisor. Distribution turnaround of 2 to 5 business days instead of 30 to 60 for our distribution when people want a loan or when they want their funds distributed to them. Lower loan processing fees, bilingual assistance, and mailing of statements to the participants directly instead of the Human Resources Department distributing those. This includes the joinder agreement and the master plan document incorporated into this ordinance. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Kind of sounds like a win-win-win situation, doesn't it?
It does.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Scully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Leanne Langston.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes, motion carries. Item number 14, before Kelly sits down.
Consider approval of an ordinance amending the defined contribution plan for the position of city manager for the Oklahoma Municipal Retirement Fund with an effective date of October 1st, 2015, or take other necessary action.
Ms. Kelly.
Thank you again. This plan is for the city manager's option. His plan is a set aside from all the other non-uniform participants. So this would incorporate the joinder agreement and the master plan document for his plan as well, and I recommend approval. Happy to answer any questions.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Scully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Leanne Langston.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes, motion carries. Item number 15.
Consider approval of a professional services agreement with Retail Attractions LLC in the amount of $48,000 for fiscal year 2016, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Brown.
Yes, Mayor and council members, as you know, several weeks ago, the mayor sponsored an item to authorize me to negotiate with Retail Attractions to provide retail development consulting services. The attached draft is on the dais for your review. Major changes in the proposed contract includes $3,000 to $4,000 monthly fee with no expenses, clarifies the reporting requirements, identifies the director of RBE to be the main point of contact, as well as modify and expands Retail Attractions preparation in preparing for these retail trade shows. Up to that, I request that you approve the agreement.
When do we have to have this done? I'd like to have a chance to read this.
Well, we could table it until our next meeting if you'd like. I'm just trying to finalize the agreement, but if you need more time, that's definitely fine with me. He will be invoicing us for July, and which is always after the fact. So we have another
That's
meeting.
just my
So like if you wanted to wait until next meeting, we can do a special call. So you have a couple of weeks, if
And
that's what you want to do.
In this contract, is there a section for reporting?
Yes. Roy, you got to help me out. Roy Tucker's office helped prepare this along with Don Rood. But I recall seeing.
Attachment
Attachment
A
A.
speaks to the reporting.
Okay.
Okay. Now, when these reports are prepared, they go to who?
They'll go to Mr. Root.
And when do we see what?
And there are some confidentiality items that Mr. Hayes brought to our attention that he wanted to really ensure that they wouldn't be divulged. So when there is a need for confidential information to be shared, we would have an executive session with you. But typically, it'll be a discussion between Mr. Root and myself.
Outside of the normal confidentiality nature, we have historically been able to contact Mr. Hayes when we've had questions. Are we still allowed to do that? Because it's going to be difficult for me to support this dollar amount if we can't ask any questions.
Well, I think the city attorney about three meetings ago talked about this. I think Councilor Van had asked the city attorney a question or two about this. Mr. Tucker, can you?
Certainly. Councilman Coleman, this contract only addresses the responsibilities of Mr. Hayes in making reports to the city. It does not prohibit individual council members from inquiring. This contract only provides what his responsibility is, not what our rights are as it speaks to obtaining information from him.
Okay. So we're not barred from contacting him.
No. He is a contractor for the city council, for the city, which is, of course, part of the governing body, meaning you all.
Thank you.
For questions.
Right, not for direction.
Right.
I was getting ready to say, Mr. Tucker, make sure you say that.
Yes, not
Because
for
a lot
direction.
of times, councilors, they get in their head that they run the city and they can do the operations of the city, which they can't. We're not allowed to. So I just want to make that point.
And you're absolutely
And it
correct,
should go
Councilman
through
Mann.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
not Ivory Van, not Mayor Colburn, not Ms. Borkston, through Mr. Brown, correct?
Correct.
Well, and earlier today, I was really debating over this contract because I had a lot of questions that were brought up to me, and I was struggling with it. And after a lot of debate and Mr. Hayes give me a call back and talk to me about a bunch of stuff, and I think the one biggest problem that as a city councilman have is that we want everything yesterday. We want to see the buildings coming up. We want to see the wood going up, and it's frustrating because we're like, why can't we have it all now? We go to other cities, we see all their buildings, but we don't know how long it took at those other cities for that stuff to take hold and be built. I really had an issue with us going from the $3,000 to the $4,000 mark, and I was checking on the prices from other cities and stuff. I hate to say this, but we're kind of got a bargain going on here, guys, for what other retailers pay, for development guys pay. So it really, whatever Councilman Langston wants to do tonight, that's fine with me, but I had a lot of changes in what way I was thinking earlier today. So,
What's the source of funding?
Will be the Economic Development Fund, Council.
I still would like to take a look at this because I hate to just skim over things when we just get them. But if everybody else wants to vote, I'm fine with that, but I would like to nobody objects, to have a little bit more time with it.
I didn't receive anything till it was handed this evening.
That's what I mean, yeah, because I just got to glance at it when,
The thought that I have is, let's stop putting things on the agenda when we don't have the supporting documents ahead of time. I mean, this is an absolute waste of time to do this for us, and it's a frustration to people that are in the receiving end of a contract. And I agree with you. I don't know that it's fair to table it for another meeting, but I do certainly appreciate and understand and have been voiced my frustration on more than one occasion about items being put on and us being handed information on the agenda and us being handed information when we walk in and be expected to make a decision.
Well, you know, Mayor, I mean, since you brought that up, I thought that you wanted this contract on the dais for consideration, and so staff was working diligently to get this on here for consideration. Of course, we could have put it on the work session for Public Works or Finance. I mean, if you're saying that, you know, we're doing this intentionally and it's creating a problem in the future, we could table this item until a meeting certain in August. That way we'll give the council detailed time to take a look at this. Nothing's changed in this contract but those three items.
Well-
Attachment A is what's been changed in this document.
So if we would turn to attachment A, basically, you would have, and we took a moment and scanned that page, we would have the bulk of the changes. Is that
Pretty
correct?
much,
Is that
except for
correct,
the,
Mr. Tucker?
With the exception of the change in the price and the striking out of the expenses that can be claimed, because those have been replaced with a straight fee. And then finally, the reference to the reporting to the RBE director. Those are the only major changes.
I would like to say one quick thing. I don't think that anybody on this city council thinks that y'all are doing something intentional. I really don't. I think what it is that we just want the information ahead of time. I don't think we're blaming anybody. I just think that we would like to have all the information for us to take time to read, even over the weekend before we have a city council meeting. I don't think we're blaming anybody. I just think that it's happened several times, and I think we're just trying to hurry up and do everything so fast and get it there, maybe because you think we're pushy or we're wanting it persistent right now. But I don't think that we're blaming you for it being here tonight like this, because I know we did want it on, but I think at the other side of that, we would like to have a little bit more time to look at it, such like on Friday night or Thursday. So instead of just tonight when we got here.
well, why don't we just put it on for August 4th? And have our next public works. We'll have a special call. We'll give everybody time to look at it and give comments. And if you get comments, if you could immediately get them to Roy's office, we can incorporate that and put that on
we need a motion to that effect.
If we're not going to, no, since we're going to be doing a special call, we'll just take no action, and then staff will take that as direction to put, to issue a special call by the mayor for August 4th.
One thing that I think is really important to have in the contract is that, with the new RBE office, that we have a good relationship between both parties. And that if that is not established, we can increase the fee structure and no matter what we do, but it's very important that both of those offices have a good working relationship. And I think there needs to be something in there on both sides that is established in the contract.
So is that the consensus, to advise staff to put it back on for later? Then we just make it retroactive to July the 1st, which is when it should have begun to begin with, I'm assuming?
That's correct, Mayor.
Okay, what do we do with the month that then is in arrears?
Well, he's receiving the check in July for what occurred in June, and then in August, he'll get a check for what's in July. So if the council acts on the 4,000, which they probably will, he'll be paid $4,000. If the council does not act, we'll pay him at $3,000, and then in the event that the council approves it later, he'll be paid the difference, but he will be paid.
I can't see how this is gonna help us if he's still gonna be paid.
Yeah, like if he take more time, and then retroactively, we would go back and just adjust his money based on what gets approved.
That's what I'm saying. My point is he's still gonna be paid, whether we do it tonight or wait till August the 4th.
He's entitled to be paid.
He's
We would
entitled to be
pay him.
paid.
Okay. Next item, number 16.
Consider approval of an amendment to Council Policy 4-1, Travel Policy, or take any other necessary action.
Kelly Epperson.
Thank you again, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Last week I presented to you the amended travel policy. From our discussions last week, I have incorporated some of those changes. In that policy change, I have added the definition of frequent to be at least 2 times per week. After hours meeting or duty event, I did place duty in there, so we made sure that the employees were sure that they were participating on city time. And then finally, somebody's comment was the liability issue on the employee's insurance. If they were to be involved in an auto accident while on city time, that would be considered liable for on the employee. So I have incorporated all those changes. Again, the policy restricts the out-of-town driving to a 10-mile border radius from the city limits, and that would be for persons who were to respond on an emergency basis at least 2 times per week. And for those people who respond to after-hour meetings, if they live within that 10-mile radius, they can take those vehicles home the evenings of the meetings. I'm hoping that you received the information I provided last week in regards to the persons who would no longer be eligible to take the vehicles home. There were 40 people besides police. I didn't count police in this because their contract sets aside their vehicle usage. There were 40 employees total who took the vehicles home. 20 of them would be removed due to this new policy. Happy to answer any questions.
Well, I'd like to say something if I could. Councilmember Reed and I served on this committee, and Kelly, and we tried desperately to get something that we felt would work, but we did not feel like we had enough input at that point, and that's when Ms. Epperson then asked employees who were affected by any changes, and some who were not affected by changes. We had a lengthy meeting the day that we all met, and it was really, really a good meeting. Everybody had differing views, but we worked real hard to come to a consensus. Not everybody liked it as well as they wanted, you know, some disliked it more than others, but we did come to an agreement, and we felt like that we needed to make a first move in trying to get our practices aligned with our policies, and this was what this was. And I'll be the first to say, even though I felt, as the others did in that meeting, that this was a good first move, I have no problem with whatever we do with this, with reassessing it as needed and moving on from there. I know there have been a lot of there's been a lot of talk about some people were given vehicles to drive in lieu of salary. You know, that's all well and good. Most of us know if something is not in writing, it didn't happen. You know, let's just do it right. If we wanted to do it that way, then let's make sure that we have contracts that state that certain people are eligible to have cars in lieu of the use of a car in lieu of additional salary or whatever. But I just think we need to move forward and do something and get it as right as we possibly can. This is not going to please everyone. It's not going to make everybody mad, but it's going to do a little of both. So we're aware of that, and I'm just going to encourage everybody to try something, and let's take another look at it soon and maybe at regular intervals, because I know things change. The end for now.
Well, I'd like to say hats off to the committee. You know, I think how this started out is we had a couple of new hires that brought to light that, you know, there was some of the new hires were driving quite a bit out of town, and then we asked for more input into what was really being done as far as a travel policy. And I really appreciate, Kelly, the information that was provided to us, because I'll refer to an older term, it opened up a can of worms, because what we found out is there was a whole lot that were in at that point. And I don't know that any of us will know the details of them, but I'm really concerned that a lot of them, just as this one was, an employee was hired and there was kind of a conditions of employment. You will get to drive a vehicle home as part of your conditions of employment. I'm concerned that some of these who have had a number of years that have been working for the city of Muskogee, it was a part of their conditions of employment. And it was just verbal. It wasn't written down, but I'm concerned that it was a verbal type agreement between them and their supervisor. I would hate at this time for us to change those conditions of employment, even though legally we can. But right now, a number of those people, we're not at scale. We're not even close. I would hate to see us do this at this point when we're so far away from where scale is. But I also look at here, and I look at, even though they don't respond to frequent call-outs, when the snow hits us and the ice hits us and bad times hit Muskogee, these are the people that do respond. And I appreciate them, and all of Muskogee does. But I would make a recommendation that we set this as policy from this point forward, that we take the work that's been done by the committee and we make this as policy, because they've done a good job. Anything more than 10 miles, they've done a good job. But I would hate to make it retroactive when we've got employees that's 26 years out and we're taking the benefit away. I think it's a slap in the face to employees. So that would be my motion at this time.
Second.
Okay, let me see if I understand. We'll get a motion in a second. So this would affect a new hired situation. This would not affect a person who is already in employment with the city.
My motion would be that we take the work that the committee done, and as far as the regulations for any more than 10 miles out, the frequency, as far as, 2 times per week? For any new hire, that would be in place. But it would not be retroactive of any current hire. And I would like to, and I don't know what's in place right now, as far as I know with the IRS, this has to be filed. I don't know if that's filed with each and every employee as a benefit.
There's certain restrictions
Okay.
that we have to follow if they are taxed.
Yeah.
It has to be a certain type of vehicle, and if it's a different type of vehicle, then they're waived.
Okay. That would be my motion.
Well, that motion also has a second,
Yes, it does.
okay? Any comments or discussion?
Mr. Tucker, I'm assuming that's not legally questionable.
It's permissible to do that. What will occur is when Kelly issues this for final distribution, between purpose and background, there'll be another paragraph which says application, and that's when she'll insert language that this policy applies to those employees who were hired after
Tonight.
Okay.
whatever effective date of this policy.
This is my other question. If there's nothing in writing that of everybody that's already driving their cars home, shouldn't we put something in writing now that states that it's okay for them to ride? Is that what we're talking about?
That's what Roy's talking about.
Okay.
And it's anybody that's on this current list, and there would be no changes. I guess I need to clean that up. There would be no changes to this list, that there would be no additional, unless it's, I mean,
You're essentially grandfathering in those employees who
Even the
currently
ones who
have.
just started driving their
Yes.
cars.
Have we done a
Never
thorough
had
check
that
of this
before.
list? and
Under
we
the,
know we're
under the
absolutely
motion,
accurate?
yes.
I have questioned each of the departments, and everybody responded. And even those people who I picked out that I knew that drove one, those departments responded accordingly.
That's my only hesitancy in saying
What-
this
what
is
did
the
you-
list. Is there, have we checked this list and we know it is absolutely
and I
accurate?
think if there's one that comes up missing, I think it comes back before the council.
Okay.
And this is just to make sure that there's no deals. We're cleaning up what was done in the past, and we're saying we're gonna go forward from this. We can't change the mistakes of the past, but we're going forward from the future and going, this is what the policy's gonna be. I think it's a great policy, and I would like to make it from, just as they brought it forward. But I think when we're so far not where we would like to be, and yet we're only doing it for non-uniform. We're only going to impact non-uniform. And we've got employees on there that's multiple years, and we don't know how far back and what their conditions of employment are. I think we'd be doing a disservice to those employees when we don't know what their terms of employment were.
Well, let me ask a question there. The ones who've only been driving a city vehicle for the last month or 2 or 3 or whatever, there's very few, and I think we probably would know the terms of those agreements. I mean, everyone was hired by somebody who's currently here, and if that was not a term of employment that was granted initially, I think maybe we need to look at that. Because after just a couple, then we've got people who've been doing this for 10, 12, 20, 30 years, There's the ones who've been having a city vehicle for a long time. I think that's fine. I do think that we know on the ones that are just recently starting to do so. But that's just my opinion.
I kind of felt that way. I just didn't want to pick and choose.
Well, for me, is if I was hired on with that verbal commitment that went with me, that might be the game changer whether I took employment or not. It's the way I look at that. So,
Well, and I'm saying if it was a term of their employment and the person who hired them is here, if it's happened within the last year, so if, I think then that could be turned into something written, but.
Wayne, you want to leave your motion as it stands?
Yes, motion.
Okay, got a second to that motion. Is there further discussion or comment?
If nobody objects, might I restate that?
no.
Please.
Okay. How about this is policy 4-1, right, Kelly?
Yes.
How about a motion to approve policy 4-1 with prospective application for those employees hired after the effective date of the policy who are not otherwise covered by a collective bargaining agreement, and to grant continued use of city vehicles under the same terms and conditions of employment as have been previously granted to those employees, as evidenced by the City Muskogee take-home report distributed, which is this report right here. And that way it'll tie the motion to the report that we've referenced.
Well, that's exactly what Mr. Johnson said.
That's
What'd you
the
change?
way I heard it.
That's what I heard, but I just felt the need to say it again.
Can we add one sentence to that? Can we add that sentence in there that says these will be documented in their employment file? And
Yes.
so 3 years, 5 years down the road,
Good point.
we go back and say, nope, we've already crossed that bridge.
Well, I got to say something, guys, and I appreciate all the input that I've heard. When we do this policy, the only concern I have, and it's not something that that we've discussed here is, you know, it's good that we look out for employees of the city, but we also got to look out for the city. And so if, in the event that we ever get into a budget crisis, there needs to be language in there that says that we have the right to pull these vehicles if it's a cost savings measure. I don't foresee that anytime soon, but we don't want to impose something like this on us if we get into a budget issue, not just this year or next year, down the road maybe, or if that ever happens. Hopefully it doesn't happen. But if we're going to add something, if we could add that in there.
I'll make that I'll make that such to my motion.
I guess Roy.
I'm working on it.
All right.
RJ can help you if you need some work with that language.
There you go.
RJ's been told he doesn't do law. We got one lawyer, two lawyers,
now.
three
Hey now.
lawyers.
Hey now.
And one of them sitting over here, it's Roy and Roger. That's it.
Well, my thinking on adding that, though, is, I mean, we can change these any time, and I would say, why don't we just wait and see what happens? Let's leave, it doesn't say this is never, ever going to change ad infinitum.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, Counselor, I'm going to say this. Right now, if we do this, I mean, some of the language that Roy just stated talks about having this as a benefit to them. And we don't want to get into a situation, you know, 5, 10 years down the road where we're looking at the budget and then we're hamstringed by, we create an unintended consequence. This will give the employees the ability to have these take-home vehicles. It doesn't do anything to them, but if we run into a financial strait years down the road, if I'm here or anybody else is here, we need to be able to manage the city. And I want to be able to, and just my recommendation, ma'am, I'm not trying to overstep my bounds, but I think as city manager, I need to give you some, what I see that we've done in other cities that has occurred, where we've had to put take-home vehicles on the block.
So more of a privilege than a benefit.
Yes.
Okay.
But I just want to make a point of clarification. If you look at this estimated annual benefit,
Right.
and if you looked at just the first 15 or 20 minutes of an ice storm and who these people are responding, it's minute.
I agree.
It's minute. Because we're talking about traffic lights, we're talking about response time. It's a moot point.
Yeah, I agree with you. Don't misunderstand what I'm thanks. I'm
A
okay
lot of
with-
these are public works that are responding to sanitation, operation of street lights, traffic, water distribution. We're talking about them responding directly to their job in the event of a disaster. And on the average, anyway, I'll leave it at that.
You mean to go over this one more time?
Yes, sir.
All right. Move to approve policy 4-1 with prospective application for those employees hired after the effective date of the policy who are not otherwise covered by a collective bargaining agreement, and to grant continued use of city vehicles to those employees who have them under the same terms and conditions of employment as have been previously granted, and of which are evidenced by the City Muskogee take-home report distributed at today's meeting. Further directing the manager to document said use in those employees' personnel files, all of which is contingent upon year-to-year funding.
Well,
Wow.
I done good, didn't I?
Yes, you did. That's your motion, and this
Yep,
is
you
my
did.
second?
you need to approve that amended
I
motion.
approve that amended motion.
Okay.
Still a second.
Same thing with the second?
Sir.
Okay. Further discussion?
I do appreciate the committee taking that on, because that was not an easy
No
task.
small task.
No small task.
No small
big nerve.
task. Yeah, great job. Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Scully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Leanne Langston.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed. Mayor Coburn.
Yes. That is item number 16, and that motion carries. We have one person that signed up to speak. Councilman Ivory Van, if you would just, sir, you don't need to move down there if you want. You've got a microphone right there in front of you, if you want.
I'm contemplating.
Been doing it for years, huh?
You know, we could just make that his podium. We're just cheering the whole thing.
Ivory Van, Ivory Van 911 Holden, Muskogee, Oklahoma. Can you hear me?
Barely.
Muskogee Arts District home groundbreaking, where 407 South 5th Street, the location of the proposed community building. When, July the 30th, 2015 at 6 p.m. What? A total of 36 additional units within Muskogee's original town site, 28 new single-family homes built on infill lots, and 8 two-bedroom condo units located within the downtown historical Seavers Block building. Total construction cost, $4.7 million, $3.6 for the single-family homes, and $1.1 million for the condos. Rental cost, $213, $467 for the condos, and $530 to $598 for the single-family homes. All units include a path to home ownership with an opportunity to purchase at the 15-year total cost, 15-year tax credit compliance period. Amenities, splash pad, tot lot, walking trail, basketball court, community building with a library, computer lab, meeting room, and fitness room. Features, energy efficient, built to NAHB green standards, and a storm shelter. This will happen this Thursday, and we're inviting all the citizens of Muskogee to come out. And this is in Ward 3. And we're also, I talked to Ms. Reese. She was a longtime councilman in our ward, in Ward 3, and Mr. Robert Perkins. And we like to give them recognition because me and Derek, they made a path for us. And they were the councilmen in our ward for a long, long time. And I know they're going to be proud to see this groundbreaking because there hadn't been any groundbreaking in Ward 3 in quite a while, especially in this area. I call that Councilman Reed's side of town. And you go to Midland Valley, that's my side of town. But I'm just excited to see, it's going to be, we're going to have a groundbreaking, and this is coming to the south side of Muskogee. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. That concludes our agenda to get to the executive session portion. We will now entertain a motion regarding executive session, which is item number 17.
Consider an executive session to discuss and take possible action on the following. A, pursuant to Section 307B1, Title 25, Oklahoma statutes, consider convening an executive session to discuss the employment, terms, hiring, appointment, demotion, disciplining, resignation, or termination of City Clerk Pam Bates, and if necessary, take appropriate action in open session. B, pursuant to Section 307B1, Title 25, Oklahoma statutes, consider convening an executive session to discuss the employment, terms, hiring, appointment, demotion, disciplining, resignation, or termination of City Attorney Roy Tucker, and if necessary, take appropriate action in open session.
Now consider a motion regarding executive session.
Move that we go into executive session.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Gully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Leanne Langston.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes, motion carries. That will consider ourselves in executive session. We'll now reconvene out of executive session. Roll call.
Mayor Bob Coburn.
Here.
Deputy Mayor James Gully.
Here.
Dan Hall.
Here.
Marlon Coleman.
Here.
Janie Boydston.
Here.
Wayne Johnson.
Here.
Leanne Langston.
Here.
Ivory Van.
Here.
Derek Reed.
Here.
Mr. Tucker, what motion do we need regarding items 17A and B? We will have no action on those items.
No motion is necessary then, Mayor.
Okay, that concludes our agenda for this evening's meeting. Thank you for being a part.